The quiet layoff. How tech companies fire people. Without announcing it, have you ever felt like something changed at your workplace, but nobody said it out loud? Fewer meetings suddenly show up on your calendar, your messages start getting slower replies, and the projects you once led quietly disappear from your plate? No official email, no big announcement, no goodbye meeting, just silence. Silence. And somehow, you are expected to understand what that silence means. This is what many people are now calling the quiet layoff in the tech world. And today, we are going to go deeper into it. Not in complicated terms, but in very simple words. What it really means, why it is happening, and how it is affecting thousands of workers without most people even noticing. Before we go deeper, if you find this topic interesting and want more real-world tech stories explained in a simple way, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow and bring more content like this to you. Now, let's continue. In the past, job cuts were very clear. If a company had problems, they would announce layoffs. People would be called into meetings. Emails would go out. Everyone would know what was happening. It was painful. It was sudden, but at least it was clear. You knew where you stood. But now, something different is happening in many tech companies. Instead of direct layoffs, some companies are slowly pushing people out in a quiet way. No announcement, no press release, no headlines, just small changes that slowly make employees feel unwanted or unnecessary. This is what people call quiet layoffs. So how does it actually happen in real life? It doesn't usually start with something obvious. It starts with small shifts. You are no longer included in important meetings. Your tasks become less challenging. Your work gets reassigned temporarily, but it never comes back. New projects go to other people, and slowly your role starts shrinking. First, you might think it is normal. Maybe it is just a busy period. Maybe your manager forgot. Maybe things will improve next month. But then weeks turn into months, and nothing changes. In fact, it gets quieter. You stop hearing feedback. You stop getting meaningful updates. You stop feeling like part of the core team. And that is when the real confusion begins. Because there is one big difference between being fired and being quietly pushed out. When you are fired, it is painful, but it is clear. When it is quiet, it creates doubt. And doubt is heavier than clarity. You start asking yourself questions like, did I do something wrong? Am I underperforming? Should I wait? Or should I start looking for another job? And the hardest part is, no one answers these questions directly. Now here is something important to understand. Companies rarely call it a quiet layoff. They may call it restructuring. They may call it realignment. They may call it performance optimization. But for employees, the experience can feel very similar. So why would companies do this? Let's talk about it in simple terms. First, reputation matters a lot in the tech world. When a big company announces mass layoffs, it spreads quickly online. News articles, social media posts, employee reactions. It can affect how people see the company. It can also affect investor confidence. So instead of one big wave of layoffs, some companies prefer smaller, quieter exits over time. Second, money plays a role too. Official layoffs often require severance pay, legal processes, and structured communication. Quiet exits can sometimes reduce those costs. Third, and maybe most importantly, companies want to avoid panic inside the remaining workforce. If too many people see layoffs happening at once, morale drops. People start worrying, am I next? So instead of creating a shock, some companies create slow pressure. But let's pause for a second and ask something important. Just because something is done slowly, does it make it easier, or does it actually make it more stressful? For many employees, the answer is no. It becomes more stressful because uncertainty spreads over time. Imagine going to work every day not knowing if you still have a future there, not knowing if your role matters anymore, not knowing if you should stay loyal or start planning your exit. That kind of emotional weight builds up quietly in the background. Some people describe it like being in a room where the lights slowly dim, and nobody tells you why. Now, let's talk about how it affects real people. Some employees say they start losing confidence. Even if they are still doing their job well, they feel invisible. Some start working harder just to prove themselves again. Others stop caring completely because they feel the system has already moved on without them. And both reactions are emotionally exhausting, because in both cases, the employee feels stuck. And here's another hard truth. Quiet layoffs are not always obvious from the outside. Two people in the same company can have completely different experiences. One might be growing, getting promotions, leading teams. Another might be slowly pushed into the background. Same company, different reality. So what should employees learn from this? First, pay attention to patterns, not single moments. One missed meeting is nothing, but repeated exclusion over time is something to notice. Second, communication matters. It is okay to ask direct questions like, what are my current priorities? How do you see my role evolving? Is there anything I should improve or focus on? Sometimes, clarity can fix confusion before it becomes a bigger problem. Third, always keep your skills active, because in fast-changing industries like tech, relying on one job alone can be risky. Learning new tools, updating your resume, staying aware of job trends. These are not signs of panic. They are signs of preparation. Now let's zoom out a little. The tech industry has gone through huge changes recently. During the boom years, companies hired aggressively. Everything was about growth, speed, and expansion. But when the market slowed down, priorities changed. Now many companies are focused on efficiency, cost cutting, and smaller teams. And that shift is where quiet layoffs often appear, not always as a strategy written on paper, but as behavior inside companies. Now here is something worth thinking about. Is the workplace becoming more uncertain? Or are we just becoming more aware of how uncertain it always was? That is a big question, because in reality, job security has always depended on business conditions. But today, information spreads faster. Employees talk more openly, and patterns that were once hidden are now visible. So maybe quiet layoffs are not new. Maybe they are just more visible now. And that changes how people feel about work. Now, I want to ask you something directly. Before we end, let's bring it back to you. If you have ever experienced a situation where your work life changed slowly without clear explanation, share it in the comments. Your experience might help someone else understand what they are going through right now. And if this video helped you see things more clearly, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because we are here to talk about real topics in simple words without confusion. And remember this, sometimes the loudest layoffs are not the ones announced in meetings, they are the ones that happen quietly, until one day you realize you are already gone in everything except name.